Hi, Nancy from Mettle here. Welcome to part 2 of my interview with Dan Gies. Let's join him now at his studio in Montreal. Hi, I'm Nancy from Mettle, and today we're meeting with Dan Gies. He's an illustrator, animator, musician, and of course an After Effects user. He puts all these things together in the projects that he works on. So, hi Dan, how are you doing?
Hey Nancy, I'm great, thank you.
So before we start, we're going to have a look at some of your work.
Okay.
Okay,
Cool.
So here we go. Let's take a look.
The character you see here was created using a number of techniques, both basic and advanced. I wanted to share these techniques with you for beginner users, intermediate users, and advanced users to help give you an idea what After Effects is capable of and how you might be able to apply these techniques to your own creations to bring them to life. Probably the biggest difference between this particular puppet and any other puppet I've made in After Effects is the ability to have a three-dimensional head. I was introduced to Freeform Pro earlier this year, and it has completely changed the way I build characters' heads. I used to do a lot of tricks and methods to try and make it work, and it was a slow, arduous process, but this has changed everything. As you can see, I can rotate freely in a wide range of motion, both on X, Y, and Z axes. This was all done with a drawing of a character's head that was never intended to be three-dimensional. In fact, it's just a Photoshop layer brought into After Effects and manipulated using Freeform Pro.
So Dan, that's quite an extensive tutorial set that you put together there. So what was the reason behind your doing this?
Well, the main reason that I decided to do these tutorials is mostly because I couldn't find anything like that online when I was trying to learn how to do this. So when we were working on the nano video, it was the first project I did that was really puppet driven with such a long piece, and it took a lot of practice, and it took many different methods and so much research to find the ways to make those puppets actually work, and also a lot of personal discoveries just by learning what would work and what wouldn't work.
So you did that series though in After Effects.
Yes.
And you had done some work in 3D before, some puppet animation, but what led you to do it in After Effects?
Well, one of the main problems I used to run into is when I used 3D applications is I don't work to a strict grid of how we make the films. I've worked on a number of films with the NFB and art films, and the nano film and the carbon dioxide film. I have a lot more open freedom to just take the film where it needs to go. So it tells the story, and the characters do what they need to do, and they act the way they need to act. And also, I haven't been doing character animation for 25 years. I don't have it fine-tuned. I'm experimenting and exploring as I animate the character.
Okay.
One of the problems with the 3D pipeline is that not only do I have to build all the puppets, design them, and do all the texturing, I have to light them very specifically. Once I do all of that stuff and I animate the character, I have to build this all in many, 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 many layers. And each of these layers have to be rendered out. And each render pass, it's like you have lighting passes, shadow passes, ambient passes, you have shine passes. There's tons and tons of layers that have to be dealt with. And if one thing changes in that scene, if I decide, you know what, I want the character to walk a little bit slower, I'm not really liking the timing of this, I have to re-render every single one of those pieces. I have to plan this so exactly on how that scene is going to play before I do a single thing. And if I don't plan it exactly, nothing's going to line up, and I'm going to spend more time fixing it later. But what that does is that takes all the spontaneity out of the creative process. Like, I can no longer just decide that I'm trying, when I'm animating right now and making a scene, I'm feeling it and I'm making it how it feels right. I'm lighting it interactively with After Effects.
So could you tell me concisely the step-by-step process that you use when you're doing character animation?
Sure. So for the first thing that I have to do is I have to design the character.
Okay.
And a lot of the times when I work with a client, they want me to come up with some kind of a character, and I have to present several different options to them of what they think is the best. So what I usually do is I draw a lot of people from life. I just at the train stops, when I'm on the bus, when I'm on the train, everything. I just draw people all the time. I draw their faces and
in hiding, you
yeah,
hide.
I hide, and sometimes I get caught drawing them, and
and they think, what's this guy doing?
I think I've mastered the technique of like drawing and then looking away and just sort of remembering what I saw and keep going and then look back. So I'm always doing it incognito. And I get a really good collection of faces. I'm not an amazing drawer. I really just try to get the essence of what their face is. So if there's a woman with like really crazy large like lip makeup and really big eyelashes and a really interesting nose, I just try to capture that configuration to know that it was there. And it also helps me remember that face. Like it kind of comes back to me later. And it also, I don't like having to do my searches of faces on Google. I don't necessarily get the most interesting faces that I'm looking for. So I'm able to go through my sketchbooks and just find something that's compelling in a very simplified form. And then I can, do a drawing. I usually do a drawing after that that's sort of based on that idea. And then I scan that drawing into the computer. And then based on the ideas illustrated in the tutorials, I'm able to build a puppet because I know what I need my puppet to do.
Okay.
Like if my puppet's going to be facing the camera or if they're going to be walking all the time, depending on the film, I might have 1 or 2 puppets, but I know what I'm going to do with them, so then I start creating them.
So you only have to do 1 or 2, you're not doing like a whole sequence of puppets.
I've done like, Nano was done with 1 puppet.
Really?
With 2 little body drawings. So she had a front dress and then she had a 3/4 dress. And then Carbon Dioxide was actually the whole film, which has turned out to be 7.5 minutes long, is done with 1 puppet. Wow. There's not one other drawing in that. There's 1 puppet that was configured at 3/4 with a head that obviously I can position all over thanks to I was able to make the face 3-dimensional using freeform, so I didn't have to do multiple faces.
Okay.
Typically one of the things I had a problem with is I had to do a front face, a face here, to get all the angles. And this way I didn't have to do that. I could actually, which saved me a ton of time because I'm not great at redrawing faces. Okay. And so, 1 puppet for the whole thing.
And for the body, how many parts for the body?
So with the body, just any joint that has to be articulated. So an arm, in After Effects, the really great thing is there's the puppet tool. So you can do soft deformations of surfaces. So I don't even need to do elbows anymore. So I just do 1 arm with a hand that's attached. But again, it depends on what the puppet's going to do. I just finished another film, Country of Wolves, and those puppets didn't need articulated hands because they wore mitts. So I didn't really need to worry about hands that much, and they were more simplified faces, so they're just really flat, but stylistically it really suited. So it really depends on what you're planning on doing with the puppet. So there has to be some planning, but it's after I have the puppet made, it's a free-for-all based on the limitations of what that little thing can do.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really glad that you met with me today, Dan. It was very interesting to hear all your different secrets and the method to your madness, so to speak. And we look forward to more of your work.
Cool, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
So that concludes part 2 of my interview with Dan Gies. We hear that congratulations are in order for Dan. Since I met with him, he's won top prize in the prestigious Made with After Effects contest for his video entitled Carbon Capture Part 1. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you soon.